Sun Man and several other characters from the Rulers of the Sun toy line have recently been announced to officially be joining the Masters of the Universe toy line. It's been getting a lot of media attention, but I still see fans all the time asking the question, who is Sun Man? We are going to answer that question on a brand new episode of Toysplosion. So in 1985, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe were lighting the toy aisles on fire, with children all over the world begging their parents for the latest action figures of He-Man and his friends and foes. But there was one little boy at the age of 3 who one day said to his mother that he could never be a superhero like He-Man because he wasn't white. The mother of this son was Yla Eason, and she soon became a mother who was driven to provide her son with a positive experience. This led her to creating Sun Man, a Black American superhero, and the creation of her brand new toy company, Olmec Toys. I recently had the pleasure of sitting down and chatting with Yla Eason all about the creation of Sun Man.
My son was 3 years old, and he said he couldn't be a superhero because he was Black. And my former husband and I went out and tried to find him one, couldn't find one. And that's what led to the creation of Sun Man. And that he was named Sun Man because typically people who live near the equator, the skin is darker to protect them from the sun, and the sun makes your skin browner as well. So that was why the sun, and of course it didn't hurt that He-Man, using the same nomenclature that Mattel had already set up, made him appear to be somebody who was already a part of that line, if you will.
That nomenclature was a very important piece of this whole puzzle, because it was always Yla's intent to create a line of diversive action figures that could play right alongside He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, so that Sun Man could charge right into battle alongside He-Man and his other friends against the forces of evil.
And the whole intent was to have Sun Man fit into play with He-Man, so that you could just swap this one with your other toys, and he was a part of the whole team. So that was all very intentional.
With a background in journalism, Yla was brand new to the toy industry. She had no experience whatsoever when first stepping in. Luckily, her lawyer had a client who happened to be in the toy industry who was willing to open up and give her some of that knowledge so that she can get things started. Now, of course, there were still bumps on the way, and Yla had to learn the expectations of the toy industry as she began creating this brand new toy line.
Nor was I a collector, nor did I grow up playing with a lot of dolls. I was like an outdoor girl,
right.
A little tomboyish growing up. So I had a couple of dolls, but that was pretty much it. So it truly was, as a mother, that really was my intro into this whole arena. And I think also, the ignorance is bliss. If you aren't afraid of something, then you believe you can do it.
Sure.
If you don't, and think about it, I had no idea how complex the toy industry was. Toy, it sounds simple, it sounds easy, it sounds fun. It's nothing like that, as we all know.
Yla worked directly with her team of designers on this new line of superheroes that would go on to be called the Rulers of the Sun. Now, she admits that she is not that artistic herself, but she was able to describe the way she wanted these characters to look and think about what kind of outfits they might be wearing. And the one thing that she knew for certain while she was creating these characters is that she wanted the cast to be a diverse one.
I could say he should look like this or it should look like that. And I think how involved was, I basically did everything. I mean, I led all the design. And now I understand. And I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't realize I was becoming a design person. You know, I was stepping out of my world of writing and analysis and business. I mean, I'm talking about, talking to analysts about profit and loss statements and percentage growth. That was my perspective, basically. So then I didn't realize that I was now becoming a designer. It was just fun, to look at, okay, what are they going to wear? Okay, what characteristics are they going to have? But I consciously knew, and it was because of the demographic research, that we wanted Black, Hispanic, Asian, Native American, and we did a white superhero toy as well as a part of our entire line. We had full representation. Said, oh, you were ahead of your time, but when you're in the time, you're not thinking you're ahead. You're just dealing with what's in front of you.
Yeah.
And that's what I was looking at, was this He-Man line is great and it's got everybody's attention, but it's somewhat exclusionary. It's left out a whole bunch of people.
Aside from our main hero, Sunman, the line also included characters such as the numerical genius Digitino, the molecule regenerator Boltman, the telekinetic ninja Space Sumo, the futuristic scientist Holographo, and the evil villain known as Pighead. With no prior knowledge of the toy industry and a grassroots marketing campaign, Yla and Olmec Toys were able to successfully launch the Sunman toy line. The reception was very positive, and the company saw great gains from it.
We were able to grow the company to more than 5 million in sales. So, I mean, by that time we had everything. We had dolls, we had games, we had before I closed the company, basically. But yeah, people were hungry for that. And I kind of liken it to the fact that, when the Black Panther movie came out, everybody was shocked at the reception and how popular it was, because there really had never been a fantasy Black super movie presented. But who doesn't want to fantasize about being super? I mean, I don't care what color you are, who you are. Everybody is into that. And I think that's what we presented.
So that brings us to today, where Mattel has announced that Sunman and his companions are now officially part of the Masters of the Universe toy line. But how did this come to be? Well, it just so happens that Yla had connected organically with Ed Duncan, the head of Boys Toys currently over at Mattel. As they were chatting through LinkedIn, he mentioned that he knew of her story, and they started talking about the original Sunman toys.
So we just started chatting. They didn't reach out to me and say, hey, we want Sunman to be a part of the He-Man's 40th anniversary. It did not happen that way. It was just organically discussions. We started talking. Wouldn't it be interesting if Sunman was a part of it? He-Man. And then he was like, you know what? Let me run that up the flagpole. And then when he started chatting about it at Mattel, they were like, that sounds like a good idea. And then he talked to his designers, and as you know, toy collectors, they were like, oh, we know Sunman. That would be really great, blah, blah, blah. That's how it developed.
Sunman, Space Sumo, Digitino, and Pighead have all been announced to get brand new action figures from Mattel. Now, an entirely new generation has the opportunity to be introduced to Sunman and the Rulers of the Sun. Certainly something that Yla never expected to happen.
Think about it. Mattel, in effect, put me in business. Had Mattel had a Black superhero toy, when we came back from our vacation, we would have gone to the shelf, bought one, given it to my son. Here you are, son, have fun. And that would have been, I'd gone back to my analyzing spreadsheets life. This is the most delicious irony you can think of. I mean, if you are me, it's like, how did, I just I was like, how did my life get so good like this? I'm not knocking it. I'm just so grateful and happy because you wouldn't expect this. I mean, come on. And, kudos to Mattel for being that progressive to say, hey, we're going to do something like this because, they're a $5 billion company. Come on. They can create their own everything, period.
Right.
To reach back and get something authentic from, the past, to bring in that nostalgia for those who knew and for those who don't know, to say, hey, we think this is important enough for all of our audience to be exposed to. I really appreciate where we are today.
So what started out simply as just a mother who wanted to provide a positive image for her own son ended up doing just that for him and children all across the country. Truly, Yla is a superhero in her own right. By the way, since we've talked about how she did this for her son, what was her son's reaction to getting his own toy line created for him?
I can tell you, I really didn't know it until one day I went to pick him up at nursery school. And when I arrived, all the little kids swarmed around me, and they're like, I said, Menelik told us you can get us any toy we want. His image was, he says he wants it and it appears. I go make it and he gets it.
That is awesome.
That was how he saw it.
Thank you all so very much for joining us for today's video. This was a really fun one to make. Something I've wanted to talk about for a while just because of the reaction I've seen to the new Sunman action figures. And Yla was such a wonderful person to sit down and chat with. So I want to give my very special thanks over to Yla Eason for taking the time to speak with me and tell her story. If you guys want to watch the interview in its entirety, I am going to link that in the video description below so you guys can all check that out. I also want to thank Entertainment Earth because they were the ones who put me in contact with Yla and helped set up this entire interview, which helped to make this video. Also, a special shout out to my good friend Brent because he let me borrow his vintage Sunman figures so that I could shoot them for this video. I'm going to link his Instagram. Please go check it out and show him some support. And as always, thank you to all of my supporters over on Patreon. I couldn't do this without any of you. Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate you so much. And until next time, my friends.